All right, everybody, it's our Klaus here, and as always, very fascinating video for you today. I want to weigh in on this whole Stormy Daniels, Stormy Waters, Stephanie Clifford, whoever debacle going on here again. For those of you not familiar, this would be the pornographic actress who is said to have been given $130,000 from Trump's people to remain silent about their alleged affair back in 2006. So of course more is evolving out of this, and it's a rabbit hole they want everybody to feed into. But I want to show you just some very interesting connections to research that we've shown you in the past, as well as how Trump seems to have directly alluded to this, and again is calm before the storm statement. So I want to get into that in just a moment here, but before I do, I really want to also point out why I feel this is troubling. Again, back on January 14th here, I put out this video about America's obsession with the ass, and again, all the different connotations of that. But one of the things that did manage to get cut out of the end, where I was talking about this idea of seeing a Trump sex tape soon. So again, I'd been working on that video for, a good amount of time before I put it out. And so then to see, all of this information come just flying out here, starting on the 12th, with the Wall Street Journal putting out that article, it's very, very interesting. So before we, again, break that down further, let's take a look back at this. This is an article from The Hill, posted on October 6th of 2017. This is when Trump kept saying again, you'll find out about what the calm before the storm means. Now, take a look at this video clip that they have here, because you have this you'll find out and calm before the storm, and look at what's right down here. After an expose revealed decades of sexual harassment against women happens to be what's coming down there. So then of course now we have these alleged sexual accusations, and then look at this here, you have two other porn actresses, Alana Evans and Jessica Drake, allegedly now having to sign these non-disclosures. And again, they're all roped into this. But so let's take a look at some interesting pieces here, okay? So again, we have those two dates from when Wall Street Journal put out their article on Stormy taking the hush money, and when Trump said, you'll find out what this calm before the storm means. So very interestingly, Stormy Daniels, take a look at her ES values here, are the same as the phrase, you'll find out, as well as New World Order, the Age of Aquarius, Number of the Beast, all these major things. Again, you see here executive order, which I'm going to tap into in just a moment, but let's go back here and show you why it's so important to look in between these days, because between the 6th of October last year and the 12th of January this year is 99 days. All right, now this is a very big deal, and one of the things I want to point out as to why is we look here at on the right side of your screen, you'll see a fire inside has that simple value of 99. Now, why is this important? So remember, we were talking about AFI because their 10th album, the Blood album, which on the cover features a trinity of blood drops, came out on Donald Trump's inauguration day last year, January 20th, which we are ringing in this new year of, or his first year of, with the government shutdown. So, again, we'll touch on that later on as well. But so on the right side of your screen, you can see all of this information over here regarding the Blood album and all of its coding, and just, again, the massive, hallmark that it seems to be. But one of the things that really, again, we're talking about a porn actress right now, so why does this matter, AFI is also the same abbreviation for adult film industry, okay? And this is something that I've talked about, and so you can see going back to when I very first brought this channel back, but I do want to scan through here so you can see the adult film industry, again, sharing that same coding as the phrase "and the way to suck eggs." Now, this is from the chapter in Book of Lies, chapter 69, that Crowley was said to have gotten in pretty quote unquote severe trouble for from other occult figures because of what he gave away in that writing. Now again, I've talked about it in the past, but you can see here adult film industry again showing that same coding is United States of America. The key of the rituals, again, this whole sexual energy thing is very major and something that I've talked about again in connection with all of this stuff, to Sausage Party being a very big piece to again predictive programming. But look here as well, FEMA concentration camps, creator and destroyer. And again, you can see all of the different ways that it continues to connect in there. But so again, just really fascinating. And then as well, when we look at that 3 months, 7 days, remember 37 has been coming up a lot. So let's pull up 37 when it's actually written out, because this is where we most recently saw it. So let's get all the way to the bottom here. And again, you can see its connection with Laurent Lamothe. Again, somebody who tweeted "Enough is enough." This is Haiti's prime minister. And so again, all of the connections with that, but 37 written out, 37 having the same coding as Hex, Hell, LAX, again, the airport, very major in all of this. So again, more to look through and consider. And that 14 weeks, 1 day we'll come back to in just a moment here. But all just so very interesting. So you can keep looking through all of this. Stormy Daniels, 13-letter name, right? And so very interesting because she was paid $130,000, which really doesn't seem too much of a hush money bribe from Trump. But again, that 13 and 13, that is the death card, the progression or transformation card in the tarot deck. But so again, feel free to look through all of this. It's all majorly important and connects in. Ask me in comments about it. What I do want you to see here, again, I wanted to flag this executive order bit. Because as I've talked about in the past, EO, right, 515 from those two letters there, that is the prophetic apocalyptic number from Dante's Divine Comedy, and it's just very interesting to me. Let's see if I've got it in here. I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but so when you just type in DACA executive order, you do get all this stuff about, direct connections to the government shutdown. And so let's step back just a little bit here so we can make sure that we're staying on track. And what I really want you to see, and again, this is very big for those of you who are just aware of the importance of being able to trace out this coding. The number 9, which DACA has a simple value of, is something that we've looked out extensively for. And again, you can see here, it does have an English value of 888, which is the same as Donald J. Trump, as well as the path of none. Again, that is the path of death, but there is that reference again to it's all in the egg, as well as these ideas of nuclear weapon, the next big one. Again, all these massive things we've talked about. So there's a lot to keep in mind there. And again, you can see number 9 coding in a lot of places here. If I can pull another one up for you without the in front of it, but I'm not going to spend too much time because that 888 is very important, so it wants us to focus on that. So keep going here though, because if you type in executive order DACA, right, you do have this idea of United States currency. And then when you look at the ES values here, again, very big pieces, order out of chaos, the Trump train, okay, all these ideas, these references to 138, which do remember is the simple value for Donald Trump, right? So let's pull that up here. And you can take a look at that, and why this is so major is because, right, this is Pez theory coding here. As you can see, also shares it with LAX pylons. Again, for those of you not familiar, that does mark what is out there in front of LAX, right, the big piece of that there. So in any case, I do have a video on that. You can see more information on it there. But again, huge piece in all of this. 138 being that Misfits number 2 from the Bullet EP, where Kennedy's brains are being blown out. All the stuff I've talked about. Again, if you even rearrange these numbers here, you do have the 1, 3, and 8 present. So with all of that though, let's just keep moving here, because as I say, there is a tremendous amount I want to get into. Stephanie Clifford, again, if we go back, And check out this stuff on her, right? We can see that that is her birth name, Stephanie Gregory Clifford, but just looking at Stephanie Clifford. I want you to see here World War III, something that comes up in this here. Very interesting, okay? Again, ideas of genetic engineering. You do also get the number 74. Now, this is incredibly important, right? Because in that last video that I put out, we were talking about the occult nature of, right, the donkey occult, right, that I would say that Satan rode in on, that Jesus rode in on when he was returning. And so in any case, you can see that coding on the right side of your screen, 474, Jesus, Lucifer, right, occult. And when I was saying occult, I meant A-C-O-L-T, right, the baby donkey. But yes, very similar to occult, something I talked about in the last video and kind of laughed, tripping myself over. So in any case here, what this all has to do with right, World War III, where we're going next, you'll find out. Calm before the storm. All of these things, believe it or not, is tied in with vaccines. And so again, something that I've talked about, this idea of the vaccinations being the mark of the beast. Again, you can see them sharing that 666 coding there, and again, all these references to the $sign. And so there's another one that was really always just stuck with me there. So again, you can just see all these different pieces that we've looked at along the way here, and we'll pull up the 2018 coding for you. Okay, so you can see, and again, this is just related right back to that donkey video, the very last one that I put out, 2018, triumphal entry, Zion's coming king. Again, all the references to Donald John Trump. In any case, staying on track here. The first vaccine attributed to Edward Jenner for, right, trying to cure smallpox, May 14th, 1796. All right, so of course that May 14th, supremely interesting, 5-5. Let's take a look at Edward Jenner here, okay? Big deal guy. If we take his initials, EJ, add them together, 5 and 10, 15. Do get a nice devil card there. If we want to reduce it down, we have 1 and 5 for 6, giving us the lovers. Now, why that is so interesting is both of his names are 6 letters, okay? So if we look at that all the way across, we do have a 666. Now, what makes that even more interesting, right? Edward Jenner, same coding as Don Trump. Blood sacrifice, Antichrist, Revelation, right? 7 seals, all these major pieces that we talk about along the way. So let's see what I've got on Jenner pulled up here. So you can take a look through all of this. Again, you have this very interesting depiction here of him performing the first vaccination on an 8-year-old boy, a James Phipps. And so I do have James pulled up for you in here. So you can take a look at how his coding lines up with all of that. Again, you do have the James Phipps sharing coding with Kill Trump, hidden messages. Again, that incredibly important 135, something we look at very often. Again, because 135 plus 531 is that nice 666. Yet again, that number will come up later, the 135. So, you know, as always, keep all of that in mind, keep putting it together here. And if we take a look at James Phipps coding over here, I just do want you to see that even his Jewish value does give us that 135 written out. And again, you just have some huge pieces here, right? So again, you know, always just look through these things, double check, you know, because there's always just so much stuff that I have to leave out of here. For the sake of, right, trying to keep this concise. So now where we have this idea of the names vaccine and vaccination coming from is this original phrase from Jenner, variole vaccinae, however it's pronounced, right? But so you will notice with that World War III with the Roman numerals coming up there. So very interesting to me how that shares. Now again, you also see here these references to the false prophet, the age of Aquarius, the dark messiah, right, the devourer, all these occult pieces from those of you familiar with either just the works of Crowley or my videos or from wherever else you've picked that up. But again, you do also have this idea of the will of Thelema. Now this 141 also very interesting because right earlier on when we were looking between the calm before the storm and when Stormy Daniels was talked about is 14 weeks and 1 day. Okay, so yet another piece that just right keeps tying all of this in further and further together. So again, off with his head, all of these ideas. So one more way here, take a look. You see smallpox, and so into the Aeon, just right, all fall down, Arizona Bay, and then Swan Song, right, track 13 from Del Rey's Honeymoon, I think it was. But so that 523 there, very important. See if I can pull that up for you on the side there. There it is. So again, very important because we were talking about, right, Stormy Daniels, 13-letter name, giving her, right, that number, just the 13, drop all the zeros. So we'll get back to that in a second here. Now, take this one step further with everything, right? We're in 2018. First vaccine is in 1796. So soon enough here, that'll be 222 years, right? So now, very interestingly, right, 222 has a simple value of 37. Again, 3 months, 7 days. This is something that we were really looking at, right? It ties back just more and more. It's fascinating. So again, as we were saying, 37 does have that coding as LAX, hex, right? Hell, all of those things. Let's pull it up for you one more time. Okay, so you can see all of that just shared there. Now, what I want you to see, right, so what you would want to do is look at, right, the 222nd day. And so that happens to be August 10th this year. So 810, again, just why it's so interesting to me. You pull it up here, you see its connection to Rod Williams. Now remember, this was the whole reason I did that Get Out video, is because he was talking about this idea of the next 9/11 being on some geriatric shit. Again, you can see there coded with it, President Trump, the second 9/11. And again, AFI's The Blood album comes up in this coding as well, something we were talking about earlier in this video. And you can see what a massive number that is, all of the ways that it has just, fallen in with this. So again, looking up here though at this 810, right, because that's what we're looking at, the 222nd day, notice there's that 135 again, okay? Very just massive. Look through all these pieces. They're a huge deal. These ideas of Ralph Wiggum coming up in here, as well as thelemic order and terrorism. Now, why Ralph is so important will become more clear to you in just a moment here. But another thing that we want to do, right, is then look at when there are 222 days remaining, right? So that's going to be the 143rd day this year. Now, that happens to be May 23rd. Now, this is a very just interesting number and set of numbers to me. And I'm going to show you why here, okay? So not only is that a 5-5, but if we look at the phrase choo choo chump, which, remember, and here's, for those of you not familiar, right, Ralph is George Washington throwing this Valentine away with this train. Of course, the intro of The Simpsons where Jebediah Springfield is decapitated and the ice cream is impaled into the right eye there of Ralph, who it falls on. And again, this is from a Treehouse of Horror where Ralph is killed, and then choo choo chump is what we get from that. So now when we look at that phrase choo choo chump, its Jewish value is 523, okay? And then its simple value is 143, okay? And so you see how those two link up there. Now, to me, that is very fascinating, very troubling, right? And you have these ideas, hit the target, right? Fish eye, fish associated with the death card, right? The eye. election fraud, not meant to be, right? Is this sounding like it could be familiar? Now look down here and you see that it also shares those values with Our Lady Babylon, as well as Sears Tower. And again, I do have a whole video on the Sears Tower or Willis Tower that I highly advise you check out. But again, that zip code, that 666 back there, really just to keep reiterating all of that to you. Now this does all tie back to, right, remember way back when, with my videos on Alanis Morissette, all the shit that I got for that. But so again, you can see these huge pieces here: Judgment Days, Federal Reserve, right, 93, the big picture, Kills the Beast, Russia attack, you name it. So now, just days to look out for, right? Very interesting. Now, what I also want to point out here, I guess since we're kind of still in that 135 category, and we did talk about 515, it is just always a very important day to keep in mind. May 15th, 515 is the 135th day of the year, right? So very, very occult setup with that. So take a look at this though, just the last bits here, just some interesting kind of stuff to think about. Government shutdown, right, occurred on the evening of January 19th. Of course, your inverted 9/11. And then, of course, at the stroke of midnight is when it was, official. And then, so that was then, of course, the anniversary of Trump, 1 year in office. If we look at government shutdown here, it is the same as it was a perfect illusion. Now, let's see, I should have something right over here with all of that for you, because again, all of the talk, I think it was the triumphal. Okay, so Zion's coming king, piece from the Bible we were talking about in our last video, again sharing that coding with Donald John Trump, foretold by the Bible, book of Revelation. You can see there perfect illusion and mistaken for love, two of the lines out of that song. And so again, government shutdown, perfect illusion, this whole just symbolism of, right, Trump, the false idea of love and change and progress he embodied. But again, huge pieces here. The Bible is about the occult, again, something we've talked about immensely, and something about, right, this video that the Zion's Coming King information comes from, right, that I was talking about, right, a cult, right, an ass and a cult. What he wrote in on is just like a cult or a cult. So very interesting. Government shutdown, also you see there that magnificent 88, and so of course Trump's simple value, just Trump. Pull him up there, nice 88, right? New Age, Fire Snake, all of it. So with that, other thing I wanted to mention was back in January 2016, Trump said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Ave and nobody would care. Span of time between that and, calm before the storm remarks on October 6th last year, 623 days, right? Of course, interesting to me because that's the inverted 326 numbers, the number day of the year that Kennedy was assassinated on. So, very interesting pieces there. Just a interesting idea, stick the needle in, right? Thinking about vaccinations, thinking about a sexual innuendo. You have both of them built in there, but you can see that is the same coding as Make America Great Again, as well as Shame on Trump, okay? And you also have it being the same as that number 23, which again does seem very critical because that May 23rd, the Choo Choo Chump, all of those things that we were looking at there, and again, these ideas of final Antichrist, right, all just built in there. So let's look at, let's make sure we get all of the interesting numbers in here. This is one I wanted to make sure to include. So you can, if we just type in over here, Simpsons 138th. I've talked about this in the past, of course, because the importance of this 138 number. But you can see, right, The Simpsons did a whole special based on that number, seemingly random. But again, you can see here, December 3rd, 1995. So I wanted to look at the amount of time between when that came out and this 523 number, because again, just very interesting connections to me. And I just stunned that I get this number 8208, right? Because we dropped that 0, and that's 828. And so again, that does bring us right back to that Pez theory, right back to Donald Trump, right? All of those things. And so let's get down all the way to the end here with it, because right, it's a huge number. It comes up in connection with all of this Willis tower information, right? The location of it there, his ideas of the master masons behind it all. And again, even just building that 828, it is a mirror and add of 216, right? Which is 6 times 6 times 6. And so again, you can see how all of that just fits in there, just so very, just fascinatingly and troubling. So again, just through that, looks like Charlemagne the God was the last one, where we saw that really come up there. So again, though, just absolutely fascinating. I know that's not true, because we saw that Andrew Jackson actually had that same coding as well, same Pez theory coding. So again, 7th president, number 7 is prominent with that coding. But so again, those are just some interesting things to look into there. You can see here, this is just an article from a couple years ago, Washington Post put about everybody being worried about finding these mishandled viruses in these safes, right? You can see that now smallpox is said to be alive again. So again, very interesting, because that just ties in with everything here. I'm just gonna browse through, make sure I don't have any other bits I want to show you. It's just some more numbers you can look at there, but notice that 141 coming back up. All right, it looks like we're good. All right, so yeah, that's all I've got for you today. Really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos. We'll just continue to keep an eye on things and see what happens here. And I guess just keep almost waiting for the inevitable, right? In any case, hope all of you are well. Please be well. Yeah.